In this series, unlike others, I'm going to do a lot of reading because this is based upon testimony, transcripts, and articles. I want to be accurate, unlike the media, in my portrayal of the case. How did this case start? Exhibit A, the deposition. For those of you unfamiliar, and I was unfamiliar, this is why you have to look into things you learn, you become more educated. A deposition is a sworn, out-of-court testimony given by a witness in a civil lawsuit. According to law.cornell.edu, depositions are usually hearsay and are thus inadmissible at trial. In the deposition, though, because we kept hearing Bill Cosby admitted to drugging women against their consent. But if you actually read the deposition, because it was unsealed, which we will get into, of why legally this is a dangerous precedent, he never admitted to it. You can literally go online, type in Bill Cosby deposition, and you can see the case. In the deposition, Bill Cosby is asked, have you had sex with these women? Bill Cosby says yes. Then he is asked, did you ever give any of the young women quaaludes without their knowledge? That's the question you've been directed to answer. And Bill Cosby said no. But according to the media, Cosby admitted to drugging women. According to what evidence? Bill Cosby never admitted to drugging women with quaaludes without their consent. And if the drug of choice was quaaludes, that's kind of a weird thing. Because of the size. They don't make them anymore. They stopped making them in 1980, but a quaalude is a big pill. Andrea Constant, who is one of the star witnesses, said that it was blue or red. But a Google search will tell you and will show you that they were white, big ass white pills. Now, if somebody were to insert that in a glass without somebody's knowledge, that would be a difficult task. In the mornings, I take a zinc pill. The zinc pill is 50 milligrams. It's a big ass pill. I had to break it in two because I only need 11 milligrams. Zinc is a trace element in your body. If somebody put that in my drink without breaking the pill, I could see it in my drink. If quaaludes were the drug of choice and they were put in the drinks, you'd be able to see them. Again, I'm not just asking questions, I'm just using common sense. What I thought was interesting, though, that originally this was filed as a civil case instead of a criminal case. I think it is good to differentiate what a criminal case is and what a civil case is. A criminal case happens when someone breaks a law or commits a criminal offense, which typically results in jail time. Civil cases handle almost all other disputes and typically aim for some sort of recovery. So Andrea Constant, the key witness, filed a civil suit and settled for $3.5 million out of court. It's weird that she made it a civil suit, meaning that she was just looking for financial compensation, not to file criminal charges in the original case. She was awarded $3.5 million as long as she never brought up the accusations against Cosby again. The deposition was given by Cosby during the discovery phase of a civil lawsuit against the comedian. At the time, the judge presiding over the case sealed the records of the case while lawyers from both sides gathered evidence. While that was going on, the two parties came to a settlement, signed a confidentiality agreement, and the case was forgotten. So the question is, why is the deposition public now? People say, see, he admitted it. But in the deposition, Bill Cosby never admitted to giving the women quaaludes without their consent. The direct question: did you ever give any of the young women the quaaludes without their knowledge? That's the question you've been directed to answer, Cosby. No. You might ask then, what did Bill Cosby settle outside of court? Well, the reason he probably did this is because he didn't want the news of his not philanthropy, but his philandering getting out into the public. Bill Cosby was America's dad, Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable. Bill Cosby has always been into morality. He probably didn't want to damage his brand. He didn't want the news to get out that he slept around on his wife. I'm not denying Bill Cosby didn't sleep around, but sleeping around and being a sugar daddy is not a crime. Drugging and raping is. That's a totally different dynamic. As Cornell.edu said, depositions are usually hearsay and are thus inadmissible at trial. So even if you do base your opinion up on the deposition, it's still usually hearsay according to the law. Cornell Law School. Something else strange about this as well is, how did a sealed deposition become unsealed when the court already agreed to seal the record? Well, originally the AP filed a request to have the document unsealed, but Cosby's attorney objected, saying it would violate Cosby's right to privacy by making public, among other things, intimate knowledge, and this is a direct quote, about his sex life. So you see, Bill Cosby did not want the news to get out that he slept around because he didn't want to damage his brand. Cosby's lawyer also argued that the release would violate the confidentiality agreement signed by the two parties. District Judge Eduardo Rubino dismissed all those arguments. Rubino concluded that Cosby, and this is when it gets more interesting. I had to reread this. This is from National Public Radio. I call it National Pubic Radio. I had to reread this multiple times because of the sheer absurdity. That Cosby should be thought of more as a public servant. Previous courts have held that public servants, or politicians, give up most of the privacy protections afforded to regular citizens or even public figures. According to Rubino, when Cosby talks about issues of public policy, like unwed mothers and crime, he becomes a public moralist, which, like it might for a public servant, opens him up to legitimate public scrutiny, Rubino writes. In the footnotes, Rubino specifically points out Cosby's speech at the 50th anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. The release of these documents, Rubino argues, is therefore important for the public to weigh, quote, the stark contrast between Bill Cosby, the public moralist, and Bill Cosby, the subject of serious allegations concerning improper and perhaps criminal conduct. So there you go, folks. If you're going to say that Bill Cosby is a public servant, then almost every celebrity is a public servant. Whoopi Goldberg talks about politics. Robert Downey Jr. talks about politics. Roseanne Barr. So you're going to tell me that anytime a celebrity talks about politics, they're in the same level as a senator, a president, a congressman, a governor. When you start doing that, then we can go after anybody and unseal based upon that evidence. So that is why an unsealed deposition, which became the first domino to fall in the case, was unsealed. And a deposition, even if it was unsealed according to lawcornell.edu, is hearsay and typically not used in a court of law. Now that I explained what began the case, I will talk more about the star witness, Andrea Constand, in part 3.